And now, here are tonight's winning Powerball numbers. This is KSTP Channel 5, St. Paul, Minneapolis. Live from your 24-hour news channel. This is Eyewitness to the Week.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound.
Tonight's Songs of Sadness and Prayers for Peace as a vigil honors the memory of police officer Jerry Haaf. That's our top story tonight. Good evening, and thank you for joining us.
It was exactly 1 year ago today that Haaf was gunned down by local gang members. Tonight, Jerry Haaf's daughter, his granddaughter, and grandson gathered with others outside the 3rd Precinct.
They haven't forgotten. That's the most important thing. They will not let his name die. He will continue on in this neighborhood. This is where he was born, he grew up, and where he died.
Now, tonight's group is trying to have part of Hiawatha Avenue renamed in Haaf's honor. Well, the news of Jerry Haaf's murder, of course, stunned the Twin Cities.
Yeah, it didn't happen during a dangerous operation. Haaf was eating dinner with a friend when he became a random target of gang violence.
Tonight, reporter Ross Kurgis looks at what's changed to prevent it from happening again.
We've heard the explanation in court to why, and it just doesn't make sense.
It was later revealed as a gang-planned killing to send a message about police treatment of Minneapolis blacks. But instead, Jerry Haaf's murder has highlighted the racial tension in Minneapolis and haunted his family.
It made people realize that if a police officer in full uniform is not safe, sitting in a restaurant, who is safe? I think it made the community realize that there is a gang problem.
Police say they're now more cautious about safety, while African Americans say they remain a target.
What happened here a year ago today got the ball rolling on so many changes that appear to be permanent. Minneapolis police have added officers to their gang unit, and black leaders say it's led to a new approach to race relations.
The difference now is that we're talking about things in a very hard, very open, very meticulous kind of way.
But if there is a positive, there is at least dialogue about racial problems. Neighborhood block groups have also been increasing, communicating with those many once considered an enemy.
Both sides have been hurt by this. Not only the black, but the whites have been hurt too. Everybody was hurt. And it's sort of a coming together thing since the slaying.
Now, 1 year after his death, the racial tensions have only started to be obscured by those hoping his death can at least result in more understanding. Ross Kurgis, Channel 5 Eyewitness News.
A.C. Ford and Shannon Bowles have been sentenced to life terms for Haaf's murder, and Waddy Pepe McKenzie's trial is stalled during a fight over jury size.
Another drive-by shooting in Minneapolis has 2 teens in the hospital tonight. It happened this afternoon at the corner of 33rd and Chicago. One victim was apparently talking on a telephone outside a convenience store. Another victim was walking in an alley behind the store. Police say the getaway car matches the description of a car stolen earlier today. The conditions of the victims aren't known, but their wounds don't appear to be life-threatening. The search continues tonight for a man accused of sexually assaulting a 14-year-old student at a New Hope High School. The girl was lured into a van near her bus stop in Golden Valley. The man promised to take her to school, but instead he took her to the parking lot of this apartment where he assaulted her. He's described as a black male between the ages of 19 and 25, with his hair shaved very close on the sides, but longer on the top. He also has a short beard. Police say he was driving either a dark red or maroon Dodge Caravan.
No one knew who she was or how she died, but that didn't stop more than 200 people from coming to her funeral. Last May, the body of an infant was found in the Mississippi River. This afternoon, complete strangers gathered to give her a proper burial. The tiny coffin was covered with flowers. A teddy bear and Raggedy Ann doll rested beneath it. A minister presided over the funeral, although he didn't know the baby, and neither did anyone else. 5 months ago, the infant's body was found here in the Mississippi River near the Plymouth Avenue Bridge. The baby's umbilical cord was still attached. Her mother has never been found.
I can't imagine the torment that anyone would go through disposing of a baby.
That's why these people wanted to make sure the baby had a caring, loving burial. Warner's Brother Funeral Chapel donated this service, another business the coffin, and these people their time.
And I think it's real positive that there are that many people with compassion to give to someone that they don't know.
After the service, the infant was brought to Lakewood Cemetery, where she will be laid to rest. Here Here there were prayers, songs, and tears.
I couldn't do anything but imagine that baby. It just made me cry the whole way to the service. It's just really touching.
Despite the fact the baby was abandoned, these people have a great deal of sympathy for the mother and hope that she, too, will find peace.
As this expression of support was for this child, I think that everybody there felt that support for the mother as well.
Now, authorities have not been able to determine exactly how the infant died, but early this week, the medical examiner said that residues in the baby's blood indicate her mother had used cocaine.
A Minneapolis man is hospitalized tonight after being shocked by an electrical line. It happened at 2229 Ridgewood Avenue in Minneapolis about 12:30 this afternoon. It's not clear how the accident happened, but the man apparently came in contact with the lines while working on the roof of the home. He's in serious condition.
The unthinkable is happening tonight across the Midwest. The second great flood of '93. In Pittsburgh, Kansas, more than 15 inches of rain fell in the past day. 400 people had to be evacuated from their homes today, and drinking water is in short supply. And in suburban St. Louis, sandbagging is once again underway as the Merrimack River has jumped its banks. 3 deaths are being blamed on the flooding. More rain is expected. The death toll is now 8 from floodwaters that are roaring out of the French Alps. Roads and tunnels between France and Italy have been blocked by mudslides, and drinking water has been contaminated. So far, tens of millions of dollars in damage.
Well, shock and outrage is being expressed tonight following the death of 3 U.S. servicemen stationed in Somalia. A rocket-launched grenade brought their helicopter crashing to the ground. Reporters on the scene say flesh from the crewman's body was ripped off and waved in the air like a trophy. 2 Americans survived the crash and managed to run to safety. Republicans on Capitol Hill say it's time to get U.S. troops out of Somalia. In Moscow, troops trucked in concrete barriers as the standoff outside the Russian parliament continues. More than 100 lawmakers remain inside with no electricity and no food to protest Boris Yeltsin's decision to oust the entire parliament. Troops loyal to Yeltsin have surrounded the building, but so far the situation remains peaceful.
Flames ripped through the air just north of San Francisco today, the result of a propane explosion. Someone was filling a tank used to fuel a hot air balloon when something went terribly wrong in Yountville, California. A dozen tanks went up in flames. Homes near the area had to be evacuated and traffic was rerouted. Amazingly, though, only 1 person was injured. Who was in charge of that tugboat that helped cause the deadly crash of an Amtrak passenger train? Investigators say they have not been allowed to talk to the tugboat crew 4 days after the tragedy occurred. The tug lost control of a barge which slammed into the railroad trestle that later collapsed. The data recorder was recovered from the muddy locomotive today. That will help investigators determine how fast the train was going when it crashed. Well, there is still much more news and information ahead for you. Minnesota authorities try to track down an accused kidnapper. We'll review the top stories from this past week.
Also, better safe than sorry, some senior citizens get vital help before the winter chill arrives.
And in sports, a future Hall of Famer trades in his baseball uniform for a shirt and tie job.
Well, it's been a gorgeous Saturday, but had to fire up Doppler 5. I'll give you a look at the radar and give you a Sunday's forecast coming up.
The newspaper of the Twin Cities is now the new paper of the Twin Cities. Watch for the improvements. The newspaper of the Twin Cities is now the new paper of the Twin Cities. Watch for the improvements.
At GMC Truck, we've built a reputation for truck strengths. A considerable advantage. It also comes in this handy take-home size. Sierra from GMC Truck.
Now you see them, now you don't. The 1993s are going fast at your Heartland Chevy Geo dealers. We're breaking all price barriers to make room for incoming 1994s. Luminas, Cavaliers, Silverados, S10 Blazers, all going fast. This absolute final clearance is almost over, so don't wait. Prices this low may never be back. See your nearest Heartland Chevy Geo dealer right away.
Want to try something new from Hardee's? It's the New York Reuben Sandwich.
Looks like the real Reubens you get here in New York.
Hardee's Reuben is made with real grilled New York rye.
And
a stack of lean corned beef.
just like in New York.
Ours is topped with sauerkraut and Swiss cheese.
Like in New York. So what makes yours better?
You don't have to go to New York to get one.
Hello.
Now we've even got a New York bagel sandwich at breakfast.
Just like in New York.
Are you ready for some real food?
Hardee's.
The manhunt for an armed and dangerous fugitive captured most of the headlines this week.
Yeah, on Sunday, police spotted Peter Butler and his wife driving near Granite Falls, Minnesota. The couple was suspected of kidnapping a Minneapolis woman. Now, following a high-speed chase, Butler managed to escape on foot. His wife, Wanda, was arrested. The search ended on Tuesday when some construction workers found Butler's body in a Sacred Heart, Minnesota church.
Here's a look at some other stories from the Week in Review.
We did it! Yeah! Woo!
On Monday, residents on the northwest side of Twin Cities International Airport rejoiced after the Airports Commission agreed to buy back their homes. The 5-year plan affects 2 neighborhoods with the worst noise problems. The first phase of the buyback will cost $12 million.
On Tuesday, Minneapolis rock band Soul Asylum provided the entertainment as the president signed a bill creating AmeriCorps. AmeriCorps will provide tuition money for college students who perform community service. Soul Asylum has been praised for encouraging runaway kids to return home.
Tells me the answer is pretty clear as to what sports fans in this state want.
A plan to build a new outdoor stadium for the Minnesota Twins was unveiled on Wednesday by Sports Task Force Chairman Robert Banasic. Funding would come from the sale of the Met Center land.
With a 9mm automatic to your hand, man, there's nothing you can do about it.
On Thursday, armed thieves stole Gerald McWilliams' starter jacket, brand new $110 sneakers, and his watch. The attack happened in front of a St. Paul church. McWilliams' family moved to Minnesota to escape California's crime problem.
Abilities should be the only thing that determines whether you work in this business or don't work in this business.
And on Friday, former KARE TV sports anchor Tom Ryther was awarded $700,000 by a jury that ruled he was the victim of age discrimination.
Ryther's contract was not renewed by KARE in 1991. Attorneys for the TV station say they'll appeal the verdict.
Well, if you didn't get outside today, you missed it. Chris Grote is in next with a very soggy Sunday forecast.
In for some big changes. And a little bit later, it's party time, but for a very serious cause.